So I got my hands on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for a little bit while I was out at EAPlay, and I had a brief conversation with two developers, which you'll hear at the end of this video. I'm excited. You should be too. And obviously one of the main curiosities that you guys no doubt have is about the combat. And that's what I would like to address first and foremost in this video, the combat. The worries that I had about the combat have pretty much dissipated. This isn't a balls to the wall hack and slash slaughterfest. The phrase thoughtful combat that gets repeated fits perfectly. And I didn't quite understand what thoughtful combat meant until I got hands on. It is the perfect description. So you have a force meter, and as you use force powers, your force meter drains, and it drains quickly. You have to build it back up by killing enemies, and I believe there's a few other actions that can regrow your force meter, but I honestly can't remember what those were. I'm picky when it comes to combat. I like a challenge, I like combat systems that feel rewarding, and this feels rewarding. This is targeted. This is thoughtful. I played on an Xbox control, and every button had a use. No real estate on the controller was wasted. Button combos, holds, everything has a function, and it will take some time to master. The targeting system that's in place keeps you focused on an enemy, which majorly helps. When you target an enemy, a little orangish dot appears on said target. You can toggle that on and off by pressing the right joystick on the Xbox control, so you don't technically have to use it. I don't know why you wouldn't. The targeting system adds a layer of strategy to the combat and makes keeping your orientation much easier while you dodge, roll, and parry. I saw some dialogue choices when speaking to allies. Not many. These dialogue choices aren't going to impact the story. They seem to just be there to kind of flavor the experience a little bit. Simple responses to NPCs that aren't all that different from one another. I didn't expect to see any conversation options at all, considering this is a story-driven game, and choice in terms of customizing the narrative was never something I thought would be in the game. I can imagine some gamers seeing this as kind of like a tease, I get it, or like an illusion of choice. But again, the game aims to tell a specific story, a story that will be canon, a story that will echo throughout the saga, and, if I had to guess considering this is Star Wars, characters that will expand beyond the game. From what I saw, the relationship between Cal and BD1 is playful and lighthearted. Everyone in the group said if anything happens to BD1, they'll be pissed. He's gonna be a fan favorite for sure. They feed off of one another. It's a boy and his puppy. It has heart, it's charming. And the droid is voiced by Ben Burtt, which is amazing, and for whatever reason, a little hilarious to me. You'll hear more about Ben Burtt's role in the game later in the video, when I briefly speak to two of the game developers. There is a skill tree of some sort, but I only got a very short peek at it, so I can't really speak on it. Oh, and the menus are gorgeous, minimalist. I know that seems like a tiny thing, but I liked it. I figured I'd mention it. The biggest takeaway I got from the brief hands-on experience I had was that the combat is very satisfying and challenging. The gameplay demo that was released doesn't really show that very well, in my opinion. It made it look too easy. There will be kind of a difficulty setting here. And when I watched the gameplay demo that everybody watched, I was a little worried because it looked like Cal was a god. But that definitely isn't the case. Player skill is a huge role. Thoughtful combat, again, is a really great description. The Purge Troopers are a really tough enemy. It's almost like a mini boss fight when you see them. Once you get the hang of how to deal with them and how challenging they are, it's really fun to take them down. The KX series droids are also really tough. If they get their hands on you, they just grab you by the throat, slam you down like the Undertaker, and they're pretty creepy while they march towards you, but I found that it was kind of easy to roll around them and get hits in. They weren't extremely agile. There will be different lightsaber colors. Nothing I don't believe is confirmed other than the orange lightsaber color that you get when you pre-order the game. I'm not too sure any of the other colors. I would assume that there's going to be more. That's just pure speculation though. Saw Gerrera obviously is in the game, which is neat. I've never really been one for like a lot of tie-ins. I kind of like completely original stories with completely original characters and new experiences and whatnot. So I'm not like extremely excited to see Saw and see what other tie-ins there's gonna be, but I'm probably in the minority opinion when it comes to that. I know Star Wars fans love all these connections, and I get it. So when it comes to force powers and combat, like I said, you're not a god. you're very limited, at least in terms of usage. And I don't know if you progress, and I would assume as you progress, that when you go through the game, the cooldown rates will go down as you level up, and I'm assuming that, more force powers will be introduced and whatnot. I don't know if the force powers that I saw were all of the force powers. The slowdown force power, push and pull obviously are going to be in there. Throw in the lightsaber. They're really fun to use, and you can use them strategically, and you can't just use them balls to the wall constantly over and over and over again, because the force meter drains quite a bit from what I saw at least. And they're satisfying to use. They are. You can use them in combo. You can hold the buttons down for a longer and better and more powerful attack. You can use them in combination with your lightsaber attacks as well. Force powers and combat, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's challenging and it's very satisfying. So, I was lucky enough to interview 2 Jedi Fallen Order developers. I was pretty damn nervous. I will completely admit that. I've never done anything like this, but it was a lot of fun. I had a list of questions, and some of those were questions that you guys submitted on Twitter, but right before I sat down with them, I realized that they probably couldn't answer most of these questions. So I decided to treat it more like a little free-flowing conversation. Because, hey, how often do you get a chance to sit down with the audio director and the narrative lead? I wanted to learn more about them as individuals. We'll learn all about the game soon enough, and I'm sure they received a ton of the same questions over the weekend. So I just wanted to have a casual, free-flowing conversation. So, with all that being said, enjoy. Basically, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
These are fighting words.
I don't think that's wild.
I get it.
I mean,
because you always piss somebody off.
Sure. I can, from my personal experience, I love Force Awakens.
Okay.
Because I thought it was really well crafted, well put together. I know people criticize it. But I love it, and I love the way Star Wars came back with a female protagonist.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great reboot. I thought the character of Rey was amazing. I love the music. Yeah. I thought John Williams' score for it was really kind of
Rey's theme.
It was kind of grown up. It wasn't quite as kind of like marchy and fanfare-y as a lot of the Star Wars scores. It was more kind of personal. Yeah. I worked on Harry Potter a long time ago, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of the better parts of that. From John Williams. Okay. So yeah, I love that. I mean, I love that film, and I think, Empire Strikes Back, obviously, because I've analysed that to death, and it really has been our kind of, that's been our go-to for like audio quality and just generally setting a kind of bar for what we've been doing, because it's just such a well-crafted movie. Right. So yeah, those two for me. Perfect. And I couldn't really tell you which one of those two I like the best.
Yeah, I get it, man.
I will make a strong opinion, I'll make a strong statement where I've probably seen everything Star Wars a good 10,000 times before I started working on this project. And I've probably seen everything Star Wars maybe 20,000 times since working on this project, because you just want to immerse yourself in it.
Right.
And what I've found for myself, the more I watch and I really analyze, A New Hope for me is so far beyond almost any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. For what it does about mythic themes and a hero's journey and all that sort of stuff, that it's the absolute North Star for me.
I'm with you. That's my all-time favorite as well. So I don't know how involved Ben Burtt is in the franchise whatsoever. Does he have any sound influence other than what's already been created? Has he created anything new?
We've been working.
Oh, no kidding.
We've been working with Ben for a year now.
Wow.
And we really wanted to reel him in and kind of get him involved, because he's been dipping in and out of the franchise a little bit, while JJ's been doing it. But we wanted to actually kind of get him, actually really sign him up for something meaty that he can kind of get his teeth into. So first of all, we had the ambition of using Ben Burtt, but we weren't sure what we were going to get him to do. All we knew is we wanted to get Ben Burtt involved somehow. Wow. But then we were starting to working on the design for BD1, the droid, and we thought, well, obviously Ben Burtt has to voice the droid. Yeah. He's been working with us on that. Last year he came up with 5 different possible directions with us for the droid voice, which we reviewed. We ended up going with a kind of amalgam of a few of the different directions. and then there was a little bit of a hiatus because we needed to then go away and actually build the character of BD visually, because we actually started working with Ben before we really had BD looking visually like he does at the moment. I'm looking at Aaron because he's looking quizzical there.
No, you're right. We had a visual design, but we hadn't locked. Yeah. We hadn't locked the visual design.
That's really interesting.
So we and since then we've got animations now for the way you're seeing BD look. And we've had Ben's been working for us pretty much since we went up to Skywalker in March and met with him and kicked things off again, and then we've been working with Ben every week.
No kidding. Yeah, I did not expect that answer whatsoever. I thought that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's really neat.
He's like our mentor and our
sure.
our sound granddad.
Totally.
Don't quote that. But he's such a hive of kind of anecdotes and information as well, and he's great. It's been a really good relationship, and we're great friends with him now, and so yeah.
Man, that's fun. Incredible. Wow. So does the game have an original score, or is it pieced? Okay.
I'm glad you're asking loads of audio questions. I've been waiting.
When I found out you were audio, I was excited. Yeah.
We've got 2 composers on the game. That whole composer thing's been kind of percolating for quite a few years now. So we've got Gordy Hub, who's the composer on the Battlefront series.
Oh, okay.
He's technically very, very good and very close to John Williams in his approach. And we've also got Stephen Barton, who I started working with on Titanfall 2. Okay. He's been the kind of he's been very connected with every Respawn project there has been, and he's been a great collaborator of mine. And I've put him and Gordy together, and those two have got an incredible chemistry. Turns out, because they both bring something very, very different. But Stephen Barton writes very, very thematically, so a lot of the longer themes that you hear, a lot of his work. Gordy's stuff is just very complex, John Williams style, all of the orchestral bells and whistles, all the fireworks going off, so some of the big combat tracks are Gordy, and having those two guys come in and work together is just a complete pleasure working with them. So I feel so. But on the score side, we're basically gonna. Our focus is on creating loads of unique themes, because I feel that what John Williams did such a great job on Star Wars is creating very memorable melodies and tying them up with characters, moments in the game. So we want to do that, and we have access to all of a lot of the Star Wars music if we want to use John Williams' themes. And I'm not going to say exactly what themes we are going to use, but we are going to use some of John Williams' themes. But we're also creating a lot of unique ones as well. You've already heard, in the demos that you've no doubt heard, we've got Cal's theme, which is the that one. We've got BD's theme, which is a so that's BD's. BD's got a super playful theme, which is cool, and we're going to bring that back in all sorts of different ways. I've been telling people a lot about today because I'm very pleased about this. We've got a theme for Saw Gerrera.
Oh wow!
Because obviously Saw's appeared in Rogue One, he's appeared in Rebels, and he hasn't really had a really strong musical theme, I don't think, associated with him. But we've created a theme which you've heard in the demo today for Saw, and so we're very pleased with that, and we're hoping that might become part of the Star Wars kind of canon. Going forward. Nice. It's been fun, So and we're trying to be. So it's all about, for music, is all about memorable tunes that you're going to remember and sing while you're making your breakfast and stuff. And it's about making the game as cinematic. And I already think, having been here and witnessed now what we've shown here, I think we're getting there. I think this is definitely the most cinematic sounding game I've worked on.
Nice. That's great to hear. So meat and potatoes of the game itself, maybe you can answer these. I saw some narrative options in the menu. How will those affect the game very much, or?
So we're telling a pretty specific story about Cal, who's a very specific authored character, and he's going on a pretty specific journey.
Sure.
But along the way, we do want to let you give input and color that journey.
Sure.
With things like those conversation options that you see in the hub, talking to Searing Greaves. So it's, for Fallen Order, our target is more let the player personalize their experience and the relationships with those characters. That's kind of what we're offering up.
Right.
You can give opinions about stuff, you can react to them, you can sort of shape that relationship a little bit, but we're not looking at like a major branching story.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good to hear. here. Well, I won't keep you guys any longer, but one more question. Just since we're at EAPlay, what is your all-time favorite game and why do you love it?
Oh, man.
Doesn't have to be something you've worked on, doesn't have to be,
Nick, do you want to go first on this one?
I can't really say one game because it depends on what era of my life it is. A game which I love, but it's meaningless to most people is Williams Defender. I love that game. It's an 80s game, but it just felt so good to play, and it sounded so great compared to any other games. Obviously a lot of those games at the time were iconic, but that game, it felt like riding a motorbike at like 200 miles an hour. It was brilliant. So I love the feel of that. I suppose in the modern games, I like games like Uncharted. I like exploring games. I like character games. So it's really hard to say which one of those games I think is a complete classic and I love, because there's so many really, really good ones. I feel like if I say one, it would be doing a disservice to the other ones. So, and then there's other games which are totally wacky. I worked on a game called Sunset Overdrive.
Sure, yeah.
And you know that one? Mm-hmm. I loved that game. That was great. And I was a sound designer on it, so I didn't actually get to figure out. I didn't get to sort of like do the whole story until we finished. Mm-hmm. And then like, wow, I just worked on that. Great. Yeah. So I know it's difficult. It's really hard. I love so many games. I've been really fortunate in my career, and I'm sure Aaron's the same. I can remember coming to E3 and seeing Assassin's Creed and thinking, I just love that game. I would so love to work on that game. And then I got the opportunity to work for Ubisoft, and I worked on Assassin's Creed. So, and then I was pinching myself every day. I think I've gone to heaven. I'm working on Assassin's Creed.
That's crazy.
Yeah. For me, Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's Dogma?
Dragon's Dogma.
What year did that come out?
That came out in 2012.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. That's quite a recent one.
Yeah.
What platform was it?
Well, it's come out on PS3, Xbox 360, PS4.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, PC, and now it's on the Switch.
Okay.
They continually are remastering it because they keep selling. Because there's people like me who buy it and 100% on every platform it comes out on.
Nice.
It's like a weird mix. It's made by Capcom. Mm-hmm. So if you played Monster Hunter, there's a lot of Monster Hunter in there. I think a lot of the people from the Monster Hunter team worked on Dragon's Dogma. The game director worked on Devil May Cry, so there's really fantastic, tight melee combat. It's an open world RPG.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's have you ever seen like old Ray Harryhausen movies?
Yeah.
It's if you ever wanted to like jump onto a Cyclops, Shadow of the Colossus style, climb up on a big monster and stab it in the eye until it dies, this is the game for you.
Nice. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Congrats on all the success. It's really cool to talk to you guys and get a little peek inside of the creative process and,
right.
Cool. And all that kind of stuff. So
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it.
E3.
Thanks. You too.